Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to go over all the thoughts and opinions I have on these Kringle candles from when I first placed my order all the way up until my burn experience. So I'm going to try to go in like categories just so that it's not all jumbled up. But I purchased these initially during their sale. I believe it was buy 6 large jars for $99. I paid these with my own money, and I did use an ambassador code because it was working, so I got an additional 15% off. But to go in order, let's start off with my ordering experience. So I do not like their website too much. It feels a little outdated, and for whatever reason, I have a tendency when I try something new, I go all in, and I actually wanted to place another order of 6 large jars for $99. I don't know if it didn't allow me to place the order because I had already done so. Hindsight being 2020, I'm so glad that order didn't go through. That's just to give you a sneak peek of what I think about these candles. So I ordered my candles on Saturday, that was May 27th, and I got the shipping notification on Wednesday, May 31st. So that was relatively quick. They didn't ship the next day, but it was still within the week. I received my candles on June 6th, that is Tuesday. So from the time I placed my order to the time that I received my candles, that took 10 days. So I would say that is not super quick, and that is not like it took a month to get my order. So it's somewhere in the middle. I also have to make a note that I'm pretty sure they use ground shipping so that the candles don't break. And also it is coming from shipping facility or the warehouse. I believe they are located in Massachusetts, and I am located all the way on the other side, West Coast, California. So you have to kind of factor that in. So as far as shipping times, I think it's pretty good. To go over how it was packaged, I would say it was all right. I was expecting some like packing peanuts or something like that, but the only box that I had was one box, and then it had these egg carton type of crates. So it had these types of crates, and I think it was because it perfectly fit because I ordered 6, and then this exactly holds 6. So while I don't think that is the most secure, I would have preferred more packing material. Nothing broke, so I was glad for that. I do like that they include an invoice because I can easily reference what I purchased and whether or not something was there without having to go like log into my email and cross-reference to see if I purchased everything or if everything was there. This is somewhat out of order, but one thing that I don't like, I think this could be for any company that I purchase from, I don't really like paying for shipping. I feel like that deters me. And I know a lot of small businesses, you have to pay for your own shipping, but sometimes they offer the option of if you hit a certain amount of spend, that then they offer free shipping. However, Kringle Candle, I feel like they rarely offer that. And I don't know why, but just something in me doesn't want to pay for shipping. So that's another reason why I would hesitate from placing another order. Let's not even talk about like candle burn experience or anything like that. Just on that fact alone, I'm a very avid Bath and Body Works consumer, and they don't even offer free shipping like that often, and that's one of the things that deters me. So if I don't want to pay for Bath and Body Works shipping of like $5.99, $6.99, I most definitely don't want to pay Kringle's, what was it? It was $7.99. And then another thing that I don't really like that, and it's not just Kringle, but other candle brands do this as well. I don't know if it's they use Shopify, but they offer route protection, and that's an additional charge. If you want to get reimbursed, let's say if your package gets lost in transit, if your candles break and stuff, and I don't feel like that is right, at least to me it doesn't, because as the customer, I'm not the one who lost the package. I'm not the one who broke the candles. I feel like that should be something that is on the company, and I'm sure there's insurance for it. But I do understand from a business perspective that they would probably have to eat that cost if they were to replace a broken candle. So I was a rebel and I didn't pay for route protection, which I believe with my order, it was kind of wonky. It was going anywhere from like $2 all the way up until $7. So I don't know if towards the end of checkout, it like finally calculates the correct amount, but it was giving me like $5 or $6, which is sometimes like another candle, not from Kringle, but from another company brand. so I wasn't about to do that. And to go over the deal that I purchased my candles, it was the 6 for $99. So my total came out to $92.14 after the shipping was added and once the 15% ambassador code was deducted. So that made each candle $14.02 or $14.03. But when you include the shipping price, so you get the $7.99 divided by 6, that's an additional like $1.33. So that bumps up each candle $15.35, which is honestly kind of pricey comparing to other brands that I purchase from. But I know that these are made in the US, that drives up the cost, and they're soy. But okay, since I brought that up, I don't necessarily feel like soy candles are superior or inferior to paraffin or other types of like wax or wax blends. I feel like they all have their cons and their pros, or their pros and cons. So one thing that I don't like about soy candles, especially these Kringle ones, is the appearance of the wax. I feel like I got kind of like grossed out at first because it almost looks like curdled milk or like something that is just going bad. But even more so, I feel like this isn't necessarily a more eco-friendly type of alternative. I know that the burn, which I do agree the burn has been clean in terms of actual soot emitting or visible soot emitting from the candle. So when I looked it up, because soy wax comes from soybeans, I believe it said that about 90% of soybeans are genetically modified, which to me, I think that just detracts from the quote-unquote naturalness of the product. And also there's that whole con about it costs more, but then again, I feel like it's also detrimental to the environment in terms of deforestation, because for soybeans, you need a big area to plant the soybeans and stuff. So you would have to chop down a lot of trees. So I don't know exactly where this wax is sourced from, but that's another thing that comes into my mind when I purchase candles. I know paraffin wax, it's like a byproduct of the oil industry. And I feel like in terms of what is the most eco-friendly, I would assume that it would be coconut wax. Why? Because I feel like coconuts come from a high yield crop, so you don't have to worry about deforestation. And I feel like they have the same drawbacks in terms of strength and throw. But okay, let's talk about the packaging, because that's another thing that it might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't really like the packaging of this. So let me just grab one. Let's see. Let's do blueberry muffin. So I can't get the whole jar in the frame, but these containers are very iconically, you can right away distinguish this is a Kringle candle because of the shape. However, I want to note that I hate these candles, or I would hate these candles just on the packaging alone if I was collecting this. Why? So this top right here, I don't know if it's hard to tell or not, but it's not perfectly flat. So it's a little bit curved, meaning that I feel less inclined to store them like this. So I feel like they would probably slide off because this top part right here is not perfectly flat. It's kind of has a curve. So as a candle collector, I would feel that having a Kringle collection, I would need a lot more room versus, let's say, a candle with a metal top or like a flat top instead of this particular shape. It's very round, and basically I would need a lot more storage space. Another thing about these Kringle candles, I do not enjoy this lid. Maybe unpopular opinion. So I noticed that the more I burned this candle, that the easier it was to remove the lid. But even now, sometimes it gives me difficulty. So I know my mom, she has osteoarthritis. So I would feel like people with hand mobility issues would have a hard time with these jars because, let me see. It's a little hard because I have a camera up here. But I feel like I almost have to force this out sometimes, meaning that if I'm not super careful, that this would probably slip, either this lid part or the actual candle itself. So I feel like with this packaging, it's prone to breaking. And I know a lot of people like the fact that these have like a suction seal, which I don't know is necessary for the type of wax you use since it's a natural wax, you know, soy wax. But I am more used to this little rim part right here. So if you see this lid right here, all of them are like that for the Kringle candle. And I don't know if your other candles are like this, but this part is not silicone. It's not rubber. It's like this very hard plastic. And some of mine, I can't remember which one it was, but some of them are like messed up. So they're kind of bent this way. And so that makes it harder to remove it from the jar itself. So if this part was curved in right here, I feel like it would get a little stuck coming out. So I just feel like that is not necessarily the best material. I much prefer a silicone or like a rubber type thing, because even sometimes when I was burning these candles, I wouldn't put the lid fully down. And when I initially took out some of the lids, I would say like maybe 2 out of these 6, I heard a little like cracking. I don't know if it was the plastic seal or it was the actual candle itself. I'm assuming it's the plastic rim around the lid, but I just didn't feel comfortable. And even for me, with that I have no like hand mobility issues, I just didn't like the experience of like opening, closing, because I was alternating and trying to, do candle reviews on this. Okay, another thing. So I don't know if you could tell, it has a pretty okay picture. I'm not really, I don't really love how the packaging is, and I don't really hate how the packaging is. I think it's pretty, decent. But another thing here, let me move this to the right side of the screen so I can put a picture to the left. But these candles don't look the best when they're lit up. So especially when it's at night, this whole entire label right here would be just dark. And the only light that you get from the candle is maybe the little sliver right here and everything else but this part. So the label isn't illuminated. So it's almost like if this part is dark and I wanted some light, typically I would want this part lit up. I would have to flip the candle the other way to get some type of like light source, illumination, which I feel like takes away from it because it looks really like dark, not dingy, but it just doesn't look the best. I'll put a photo, or I'll maybe keep it up as I'm explaining this, but yeah, it just looks really dark. Okay, let me grab another one and open this. So here is how the wax looks like on the inside after lighting this several times. Each of these have been lit. So as you can tell, this blueberry muffin is almost done. It's more than halfway done. So if you look at this, the wax doesn't really look appealing. So if you saw how the wax looked like, I did get a lot of bubbles in my orders. I'll see if I still have photos of that, but it just kind of took away from the polished aspect of the brand. I know it's the wax or the type of wax used, but it just didn't look the best. So I feel like if I was gifting that to a friend who wasn't familiar with 100% soy candles or candles that use non-paraffin wax, I feel like I would have to kind of tell her an explanation like, hey, this candle still works. It just doesn't look the best because of X, Y, and Z. So I probably wouldn't gift these candles, at least to the friends that I have. But all right, let's go on to the fragrances themselves. Okay, all of these have their quirks, and I feel like that's another reason why I didn't enjoy my experience with this brand, was because the scents that I thought I was getting, or that maybe I had too high expectations, because I heard that these candles were like, not powerhouse candles, but I was expecting like high mediums to maybe even strong candles. I do want to make a note though that I love strong candles. I feel like I expect a candle to be strong. I feel like if I'm going to have to deal with wick problems, sooting, discoloration, or anything of the sort, I have to have the scent pay off. So I primarily burn my candles almost exclusively in my room, which I took the measurements, so it might not be accurate, but it's 210 square feet, which I think my room is the biggest one, like the biggest room in my house. I typically burn my candles in 2 places in my room, depending on whether or not I'm smelling it, which one of them is more towards the corner, and then the other one is closer to the door, towards like the middle of my room. And no matter how I like moved this candle, I got pretty much the same experience. And I feel like overall, these candles are pretty medium, but we're not talking like high medium, we're talking like low mediums. So ideally, I would prefer a candle to be strong. So I would consider a strong candle to be a 9 or a 10. Anything like below is medium, so I would give an 8 a medium. 7 would be like, it's a kind of weak medium. Anything below that is just kind of weak. So maybe if I was burning candles around other people that didn't like candles, I would consider buying from Kringle again. However, I'm burning these just for myself and I don't want a 6 out of 10. So that's not what I buy candles for. Like, if you do that percentage wise, that's like a 60%, which is a fail. And that's just not what I'm going for when I purchase candles. So I purchase candles expecting them to be strong. However, I do want to make a note that I feel like your perspective changes when you're ordering online and you don't have the ability to smell candles in store. So let's say I go in store and I buy a candle and then I smell it and then I'm like, oh, it might be a low performing candle. I feel like I would be more okay with smelling the candle in person and getting a less than ideal performance versus just chalking it up to, oh, well, that candle brand probably just doesn't do fragrances that strong. So somehow in my mind, it's more forgiving, or I'd be more okay with a candle brand or a candle performing weaker if I had the opportunity to smell it in person. I do want to make a note though that maybe I'd like Kringle candle more if I was like asthmatic or if I got headaches a lot from candles. Honestly though, if I had that issue, I probably just wouldn't even burn candles. I'd just warm wax or something. And also another reason why I mainly burn candles in my room is because my family doesn't really like candles, except for my sister, but she's on the opposite side of the house. So from my room, it's a hallway, very small hallway. And then in the hallway, you pass the bathroom and then you go into my grandma's room. So my mom tends to go to my grandma's room quite frequently just to check in on her and stuff. And typically when she passes by, she is like, oh, you're burning a candle, right? She had no complaints with Kringle candles. So I feel like that would just add to the notion that these aren't really that strong, which is my main critique from the brand. Also, my sister would come into my room quite frequently and then she wouldn't know that I was burning a candle until she would look over. She's like, oh, you're burning a candle? I don't really smell anything. And then I would say, yeah, me neither, except for 2 fragrances. So I feel like if I had to recommend, I'm going kind of out of order, but if I had to recommend a candle, I feel like I would feel only comfortable recommending Blueberry Muffin. One, because the strength was like a medium, so I would give it like a 7 out of 10. None of these candles really projected too much. I would say the only one would maybe be Hot Chocolate, which kind of went from my room to part of the hallway. But I wouldn't put this in an open concept living room. But let's go on to the candles briefly. Okay, so I've never had so many issues with a candle brand before until I ordered from Kringle. Well, overall, strength and throw. And then another one, which I didn't expect. And the second was me not liking the scents. But one of them, this lava cake, I have no idea what happened when this candle was being produced. I have no idea if it's a batch issue, but this candle smells horrendous. I feel like this is the second, if not the worst candle I've ever purchased. This candle smells nothing like the scent notes. It smells nothing like the description. It smells nothing like the picture. I just have no idea how this got past quality control because it just smells rancid. And I feel like at this point, I would prefer an unscented candle. I'm seriously debating tossing this or like trashing it, but I feel like this candle was like, what, $15.35 out of my pocket. So that's the only thing that's holding me back. I would have contacted customer service, but I feel like it's always a tricky situation saying, hey, I don't like how your candle smells. I feel like, yeah, scents are subjective, but this just smells bad. It just smells rancid. I did a full review and I went more into depth, but this smells like if coconut oil was outside for so many days under the hot sun and it rehardened. It just smells dirty, murky, musty, and I have no idea how this got great reviews. So here is how the bottom looks like. I don't know if you want to like write down what my batch number is because I have no idea where it's at. But yeah, I so wish I would have never put this in my cart. I regret it so hard. Oh, but since I'm showing this, I want to talk about the fact that I've heard more than one ambassador mention that these are self-trimming wicks, which I feel like is a lie, and my hand's shaking. I feel like you can't advertise them as self-trimming wicks while in the bottom saying to trim your wicks. So right here, it says, keep wax pool free of debris. Okay, trim, and I quote, trim wick to 1/8 inch each time candle is lit. So I don't know if I have the wrong understanding of what self-trimming wicks is, but to me, self-trimming wicks is I don't even need to like knock off the little mushroom tops. I'll insert another photo, but my hot chocolate candle, so this one right here, there is a huge wax fallout that happened because I wanted to test out these self-trimming wicks. So I did that both with hot chocolate and I did that with the Blackberry Buttercream, which by the way, Blackberry Buttercream smells nothing like blackberry, and I feel like the scent also changed, which was another issue that I had. And I don't know if it was because the hot chocolate candle, the wick, like little carbon balls or little bits fell into the wax, that's why I do have wax discoloration in, especially, let me see. I mainly just have wax discoloration in hot chocolate, so let me pull it over. So I don't know if you can tell from the video or photo, but there is a definite mark right here. So right here, it's like slightly darker, and this hasn't been lit in a few days, so it's not anything. So yeah, right here. Oddly enough, I feel like the scent in this, even though the wax is the most discolored out of all the ones that I have, the scent still smells okay, which I'm surprised. Oh, also, it's not super clean. There is like wax hanging onto the side, so that's another thing to note. And when the candle resolidifies after it's cooled down, you don't notice the fallout, but it's there. I'll insert a photo if I haven't done so already. Okay, I'm kind of going out of order, but let me go over each of these candles quickly and the issues that I have with them. So, first one up, lava cake. That one just smells horrible. It smells nothing like the scent notes. It's borderline the worst candle I've ever purchased, especially the worst candle I ever purchased for $15.35. I still can't believe it. I feel like something went horribly wrong. It almost seems like this is the wrong label for the scent, and or I can't imagine someone liking this fragrance. I believe the fragrance notes are like chocolate, even patchouli. I have patchouli fine fragrance mist. Like I have a predominantly patchouli lush body spray. This is not patchouli, this is just musty. So that was my main issue. The strength throw, sadly, for lava cake, it was it was like medium, so 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10-ish. Next one up, we have Blackberry Buttercream. The main issue that I had with that one is that there was no blackberry to speak of. I only smelled it once when I opened up the lid on cold, and then once I lit it, it vanished. This is more like a diluted, healthy carrot cake to me. And I feel like the picture in the front would make me think, yeah, it's gonna have so much blackberries, it's gonna be borderline fruity. Nope. So here's how it looks like, and I feel like the scent has now changed into something that I don't really care for. It doesn't smell bad, unlike that lava cake. But yeah, the other issue that I have with Blackberry Buttercream is that this is one of the candles that I have to leave burning for 2+ hours in order to build up the strength level in my room. So for virtually 2 hours, I'm just waiting for this candle to get stronger, and I don't necessarily even love the scent. And the strength and throw, I would say that it barely fills up my room, and I would give the strength intensity like low medium, so like 6 out of 10. All right, next we have hot chocolate. So for this one, these aren't self-trimming wicks, and I tried to really test it on the hot chocolate. So the main issue that I have with hot chocolate is that there's this almost citrus note in it that I feel like detracts from the hot chocolate that I want to get. I feel like citrus shouldn't be in a hot chocolate, but that's besides the point. This one is the one that projects the most, so it easily fills up my medium-sized room. Or I don't know if 210 square feet is medium. There's slight wax discoloration, and there are huge chunks of carbon fallout in my wax pool. So please, if you do order from Kringle, trim your wicks. Like, these aren't self-trimming wicks. So next we have Water Taffy, which is another like meh performance. I would give it also a 6 out of 10, and this is one of the ones where I have to leave burning for a longer period of time. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but there was a comment saying that since Kringle has soy wax, that the candle might need to be burning for a longer period of time. I'm not sure exactly why, but I'm guessing it's for the fragrance to like come through or something. So here's how it looks like, that same curdled cheese type of look. The scent of this has changed, and now it smells sooty. which I feel like I don't know if that would have happened to it regardless of the burn time, because I left that candle burning for, at one time, 6 hours at a time. So before I forget, that's another thing that I would love to know is typically for candles, they tell you, hey, the maximum amount of burn time that you should light a candle is like 2 hours, 4 hours. I don't see that listed anywhere, that you should extinguish the flame after a certain period of time. So I don't know if maybe that's why the scent has changed. And I feel like the scent is okay before it changed to this kind of like almost sooty but not sooty type of smell. So for the last Kringle candle, I have Blueberry Muffin, which I think was the best selection out of all of these. It wasn't the strongest. Hot chocolate was the strongest, but hot chocolate had that weird note, whereas Blueberry Muffin I feel like was good on cold, good while burning. The projection filled up my room, didn't really do much outside of my room. And then the strength was maybe like a 7. Yeah, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. So I didn't have any real issues besides the fact that I prefer more like cakey, cupcake types of smell versus a like brand muffin. Oh, and I almost forgot the one country candle that I purchased. This one is Coffee Shop from the Country Candle line. As you can tell right here, that's how big my wax pool got, and all of these are more than initial burn reviews. It has that weird aspect look again. And I would say the Coffee Shop candle was okay. I just think that's not the coffee scent that I want. I feel like I mainly want a coffee that is very bold and invigorating, wakes you up, versus this one is more mellow. So this was another one that had a low medium throw, so I would give it like a 6 out of 10. For some of these burns, they weren't consistent in terms of strength and throw all the way through. So for some of the candles, they got stronger as they were burning slightly. And then some of them, it was like odd. So for one burn, or for like burn number 3, I would get a 7 out of 10. The next burn, I would get like a 6 out of 10. The next, so it would just vary so much that I wasn't sure what I was gonna get. And that is if I were to leave this burning for at least 2 hours. So I tried several different things. So I think out of all of these candles, I wouldn't repurchase any because I don't plan to buy from Kringle Candle. While I do like that they are made in the US, I feel like I could find candles that are made in the US, like from an Etsy seller, a small business, my local farmer's market. And I feel like it wouldn't be hard to find a seller. And even in some grocery stores, they have candles there that I think are manufactured or produced in the US. And the appeal is that you're able to smell them in person. So I haven't been following this brand for too long, but I feel like another thing that I don't like, or I feel like that stops me from purchasing, besides now knowing that I don't like the scents, is that they hardly have any sales, or at least sales that are worth purchasing from. They recently had, just now as I'm filming this, their $12.95 3-wick candle sale. And then of course, when I bought my candles, it was that whole like 6 large jars for $99. But other than that, I feel like other stores that sell candles have more candle sales. Another thing, since you're purchasing online, I feel like it's such a hassle to do an exchange or return because I'm pretty sure you have to pay for your own shipping. So let's say I wanted to return or exchange that lava cake candle, I would have to pay shipping to go exchange it. And I'm just not about to deal with that hassle. So if I didn't have, or if I didn't like doing video reviews and stuff like that, I would just silently never purchase from Kringle Candle ever again. So I wouldn't leave positive reviews, negative reviews. I would just kind of like, okay, one and done. I feel like I'm not missing out on anything. So I feel like another topic that should be talked about, or at least that I'm going to talk about, is the whole PR, ambassadors, free candle, whatever you want to call it, situation. I personally believe that PR is a good way to put your name out there as a brand. I feel like otherwise people wouldn't be as invested, or you're able to reach a greater audience. And I do like that that's a way to support whichever content creator you like. They have a lot of ambassadors. So for me, I just think there's something so pure about either buying a candle online and, you know, waiting for it to arrive and then, you know, having a reaction to it and then burning it and lighting it, that you can't get from someone who didn't come out of pocket, you know, like it doesn't hit you the same. It's not the same experience. And I feel like most people who burn candles aren't gonna just have candles show up to them. I feel like for me, I would be influenced whether I realize it or not. Like, take for example, at least for me and my sister, when we go to restaurants and stuff and order plates, I feel like sometimes I ask her, hey, so what did you think about that plate that we had? And then sometimes she's like, oh, it was okay, but like I wouldn't pay X, Y, and Z for it. Like for free, it's fine. For like if I have to pay for it, it's like no. So I feel like your perspective changes if you paid for it versus if you didn't. That's not to say that you can't do a review on it, but I feel like I personally have this self-made rule that if I want to purchase something, for every PR, ambassador, whatever type of review you want to call it, I want to see 2 reviews from someone who paid for it, which is really hard with this brand because I don't have Facebook and I don't necessarily like reading reviews on the brand's website. I like to go elsewhere, and the type of videos that I like are video reviews. And typically, at least for other brands, you can just put the candle name, like let's say, what is it? Saltwater Taffy. You can just put Saltwater Taffy, add the word review, search. However, for this brand, if I do that, almost everything that I see, or like almost all the reviews, are from ambassadors or people who got the candle for free, which I'm assuming, or has some type of gain from reviewing the candle because there's like an affiliate code involved. So for me as a consumer, it's really hard to find reviews from people who aren't affiliated with the brand. And I don't like Facebook, so I'm not about to create a Facebook, but I know that there are Facebook groups. I'm not really into Instagram too much, so my only means of finding reviews are YouTube, which are few and far between. So just to reiterate, I feel like PR is a good way to like show support to content creators. I feel like it's good for the brand to like put their name out there. Do I feel like as a consumer, I would like reviews from people who aren't affiliated with the brand? Oh yeah, for sure. Because of that rule that I have, that for every like PR ambassador review, I want to see like 2 non-affiliated reviews, which is virtually impossible. But yeah, overall, I feel like my experience wasn't great. I feel like I had a lot of burn issues mainly in terms of strength throw, like the fragrance itself. I feel like the consistency was also an issue. Like lava cake, it didn't smell anything like the fragrance notes. I'm borderline gonna trash that. Blackberry Buttercream smells nothing like the name would suggest. And then for hot chocolate, the wax is kind of discolored. Saltwater Taffy, the scent has changed. And then for coffee shop, I feel like the scent is just okay, but I'm not going to repurchase it. And then Blueberry Muffin, that I feel like is the best one out of all the ones, I just wouldn't repurchase. It'd be like a one and done type of candle. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts on Kringle candle, as well as my experience that I had from burning these 6 different candles. As someone who loves chocolate scents, coffee scents, gourmand scents, I wouldn't recommend this brand. I feel like if you're looking for gourmand scents, maybe look elsewhere, because I feel like a lot of these fragrances weren't executed how I wanted them, or they had like some off-putting notes. So I feel like as a consumer, I didn't really get consistency with any of these candles. They all had their little quirks, which I was surprised with, and I don't like the strength level and throw intensity. Kringle candles don't offer me the strength level. They don't offer me the type of throw that I'm looking for in candles. I think that now I'm more willing to put up with, let's say, wick fallout or wax discoloration if I enjoy the scent, versus if I'm getting a quote-unquote clean burn from a fragrance that I couldn't really care for. I think going forward, I'm not going to purchase from Kringle, at least not for a while, and I don't think anything's going to significantly change from the bit of wax that I have remaining. My sister was doing me the huge favor of having these burning in her room. She's sensitive to smells, but she honestly didn't mind these. So I think going forward, I'm going to continue to check on Kringle and see what types of scents they come out, but I'm not going to have that in the back of my mind, oh, I'm missing out. I feel like now I know the types of scents Kringle candle puts out, their strength level, their intensity, and I feel like I'm not missing out on anything. I think I prefer smelling candles in person, or I feel like if I order online, it would have to be from a brand that I really enjoy their scents, and I feel like there wasn't one that I was like, oh wow, I need to buy backups of it. Another concern that I'm throwing in right here at the end is that since this is 100% soy wax, I'm a little bit concerned of what is the shelf life for these candles, because I have some soy paraffin or pure paraffin candles that are at least like 4 or 5 years old. So I'm curious what's the best by date, because when I googled it, it said that candles with soy wax, they're best suited for 2 years. So I feel like as a collector, I can't collect Kringle candles if I'm going to have to worry about the scent oils going bad, the fragrance oils. I would want to know that there's some type of preservative keeping these candles from smelling rancid. Alright, so those are all my thoughts that I had on Kringle Candle, my experience, as well as my very long-winded review. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.